Hey gang, Carl White here, broadcasting from the secret headquarters here in the Mortgage Marketing Animals. And you're listening to Loan Officer Freedom, number one podcast in the world today for loan officers. Hey, doing something a little different today. One of the leaders in our Freedom Club, our high-end mastermind group with some of the top loan officers in the nation, Brian Arnold, right? A very dear friend of mine, one of the leaders in that group, does a podcast for real estate agents. And he was kind enough to invite me to be a guest on an episode for his podcast. And in it, we just talked about the things that real estate agents could be doing to increase their business. And I thought, there's some pretty good ideas in here that maybe some of our loan officers could glean either for their own business or, frankly, maybe to share with real estate agents, and a couple ideas that perhaps could help you. So I got Brian's permission. He said, of course, we can show that episode to our loan officer friends here. So without further ado, I'm going to turn on a recording that we did, again, for Brian's podcast with real estate agents as the target. But I bet you can pull some nuggets out of this. So without further ado, Brian Arnold. Take it away, Brian.
Welcome to another edition of the Mile High Real Estate Spotlight Podcast. And today is one of those amazing days. Today is one of those days that you're going to want to listen to this podcast over and over and over again. I somehow have been able to get Carl White on our podcast today. And this podcast, if you've done a podcast with me, or you're thinking about doing a podcast with me, or you're a real estate agent who wants to do some stuff, you are going to want to be and listen to this podcast and listen to it several times. So Carl White has one of the largest mortgage branches in the entire country. He has the number one loan officer marketing coaching business that is in, I would say it's in the entire world. And so he has actually been gracious enough to talk to us. He's been helping me and coaching me and making sure that I'm doing the right stuff. And one of the things that I asked him, I said, Carl, how can we help real estate agents? How can we make sure that the real estate agents that we're working with, we're on the loan side of it and we got our own things that are going, but they need to be able to make money in this market. And, as I've been talking to you all and talking to the folks around, that's one of the big things that you have told me is, hey, it's great. I love people. I love helping people. I love getting together with people. But it's hard right now, or it's difficult right now. And I said, it doesn't have to be. There are real estate agents right now making money and they're doing it well. And some of the tips that you're going to hear today are the things that you need to do, the things that are important that you can do on a daily basis that's going to explode your business. So Carl, again, thank you for being, on the show today, on this experience. I can't wait to have this conversation with you and go where we go. So please just kind of introduce, you and what you do and like, I guess just a history of where you're at and how you got to be where you're at first.
Well, first of all, hey, appreciate the graciousness. And I run one of the top branches in the nation. I think I'm second to you, actually, Brian. So, and I know we could turn this into a love fest. I've learned so much from you, and I appreciate your graciousness. And you're such a humble, wonderful man. But I would say the biggest secret to my success, and I'm saying this with all seriousness, is hanging out with super smart, awesome people like you and, the masterminding. And so being a part of what you're doing here and sharing with real estate agents, being all in on their production and helping them out, it's an honor to be a part of it. So I've been in the mortgage real estate business now, I don't know, about 25 years, something like that. And, my bottom line is really, I'm just and it's become a little tagline, but it's true. I'm a student of success. Mm-hmm. And, it's like, I love hearing your story, Brian. So I think, one of the biggest things that we can do in today's market, we have to be very careful right now. Because like if we open up the newspaper or we watch the news on TV, we might hear words like nobody's buying, there's no inventory, nobody's listing their homes because they got a 2% rate and Rates are a bit higher than that now. And so nobody wants to move. And we have to, I think first thing we have to understand is that words like everybody and nobody are very, very, very big words that are almost always not true. And I've become a firm believer, and I've witnessed it firsthand. And Brian, frankly, watching your success when many mortgage companies and real estate companies, but many mortgage companies are going belly up, and you guys are thriving over there. It has taught me that the market doesn't dictate our failures or our successes. Our activity, our actions do. And it seems like whoever we hang out with dictates our actions. So I'm very careful about who I hang out with. I look for the winners, again, like yourself. I look for winners. I hang out with those winners. When I hang out with those winners, they encourage me to do the right activity because I see them doing the activity and I see them have success. And when I do that, then I have my own success, and we create our own success. We don't wait for the market to do that for us. Because you know what? In the worst of times, there's always those that are having a great year, again, like yourself. And then in the best of years, there's always those people that find a way to lose, right? And so, yeah, I'm very cautious about, people ask me, gee, Carl, where do you think the market is going? I can't answer that. I spend zero time thinking about it, but I can tell you where Carl's going. Right. I can tell you where Brian's going. I can tell you where Brian's real estate agents are going. That I can tell you with great assurity. What is the rest of the market doing? Frankly, it's none of my business. I don't care. Not that I don't care, but whether it's up or down, if it's up, it's not going to guarantee my success. And if it's down, it certainly isn't going to hold me down. Does that make sense?
Oh, it totally does. And, I hear this term all the time. If success leaves clues, what are those clues that you're getting? And what I found is, just like you said, it's the associations, it's the people that you're around, it's the people that you're working with, it's the people who want to win, because there are people winning in all areas of life right now. There truly are. And so how do I make sure that I associate and I align myself with those people? And if, like I said, if you've done a podcast with me, I called you because you're one of those folks. And so you're just looking for that extra edge. And I love the fact that you said it doesn't matter what the market's doing. People are still going to buy houses. People are going to still sell houses. Yeah. People are still going to move. People are still going to get job promotions, because that's where our world's at. Unless there's some kind of major war or something in here where we can't do that. And we can't assume that that's going to happen. I mean, if it happens, it happens, and we'll deal with it. But
we'll still find a way to win. We'll still find a way to win. Yeah.
I'm watching the Detroit Lions right now, and they're finding ways to win, right?
who would get, and look, and not picking on our friends in Detroit, but if the Lions can pull it off, we all have hope. We all have hope.
Absolutely. So what are some of the things that you believe that, if I'm a real estate agent and I'm working and I'm doing the things that I've been taught to do, and I know there's a lot of changes, and, we had this whole, I guess it was a lawsuit that happened and that ended, yesterday or a couple of days ago, where, they're kind of up in arms of where, whether they're going to get the commissions up. But again, that doesn't matter, right? It's what can I do individually today, me as an agent, that's going to springboard my business into the next level?
I think the first thing that we have to look at, a dear friend of mine, a friend of ours, Brian, Steve Kiles, has this saying that I just absolutely love, and it's discipline out trumps motivation. Discipline out trumps motivation. So I'm going to tell you, look, we all know what to do, like all of us. Like, we're not going to say anything here today that's going to be breaking news to anybody. Like we might say, hey, gee, if you call expired listings, guess what? You might get, you're probably going to get one if you call enough of them, right? If you call on enough FSBOs, guess what? A good percentage of those end up listing. Like, we already know that. If we get a new listing and we call the neighbors of that new listing, guess what? We're going to get some of that. We do some, I don't know, some internet leads, like wherever that happens to be, Zillow or Facebook or Instagram or wherever you might get it. Guess what? Some of those are going to close, right? So we all know those things. And I think the issue is taking action on the information that we already have. And I think the mistake that a lot of us make, Brian, is that we wait until we feel like it before we take action. Well, I know calling expireds or FSBOs or calling my past database, and and we're going to talk about some very, very specifics, but I think, we can't wait until we feel like it to take action on these items. Is that we have to have it written down on a calendar and act on it. The discipline of this is what I do in the morning. That's like, so Brian, every single morning I jump on a bicycle and I ride between 20 and 40 miles every single morning. And it's a habit now. It's like getting up in the morning and taking a shower. Like, it's just what I do. And I don't wake up each morning deciding, hey, I think I'm going to, no. The decision was made, in my case, a couple of years ago. I already made the decision. Mm-hmm. And so I think the same thing happens in our business life, is that we go ahead and make a decision. Hey, on Monday from, I don't know, insert in time, 9 to 11, I'm going to do this activity. On Tuesday from 9 to 11, I'm going to do this activity. On Wednesday, this other one. On Thursday, this other one. Maybe Friday afternoon, I'm going to do this other thing. But it's in our calendar in a prescribed time, and we already dictate what we're going to be doing. And I think doing that instead of deciding, gee, what should I do today? I don't feel like doing that today. Hey, I'll tell you a quick story. I was reading a recent interview. They were interviewing Stephen King, the famous author, right? And whether you like his books is not the issue here. I think we can all agree the guy writes a lot of stories. And these are not, I mean, he does short stories too, but these are like huge dictionary fiction novels, right? I mean, these are 1,000-page books, and he pumps one out. It seems like a couple a year. I mean, it's just uncanny, unbelievable how he puts out all this content. And on this interview, they were saying, Stephen, how do you, how do you write so much content? Like, how do you pull it off? And he said, well, I found the secret is to only write when I feel like it. And I feel like it every Monday through Thursday from 10 to 2. And so every Monday through Thursday, that's his work. And I think it was 10 to 2. But every Monday through Thursday at 10 a.m., feel like it or not, he sits in front of his Underwood typewriter. According to this article, he still types on a typewriter, believe it or not. But he grabs his Underwood, his typewriter or word processor, whatever, at 10 o'clock on Monday morning. And he sits down, whether he feels like it or not, it's raining or not, he's got the sniffles or not. No matter where he's at in the world, he stops from 10 to 2 because he understands that the discipline of setting out that time out trumps waiting till I get motivated to do it. And I think that I really like that. I thought that was a great secret sauce moment for me. So for me, it would be like, hey, look, how did you bring in your last 10 deals? Whether they were listings or buyers, how'd you bring your last 10 in? And for some of you, it's one thing. For some of you, it's another. Like, there's no wrong way. How'd you bring your last 10 in? And I would look, all right, on those, what did they have in common? Like, if I brought in 8 by doing, I don't know, I'm just going to grab something here. This is not a recommendation, but just say open houses. Okay. Hey, I got 8, my last 8 listings were nosy neighbors coming in to the open house, or they were the neighbors of my new listings. I sent a postcard and then I call them, or a door, like whatever you did. Like, what did most of those last 10 deals have in common? Figure out what that activity was, and simply do more of that and less of everything else. And I would look at whatever that activity was. Let's just say, I don't know, and I'm just FSBOs, calling on FSBOs, just say. Well, then what I would do is I would block out 2 hours a day, and I like the Monday through Thursday thing, right? Yep. And I get it. We work, real estate agents. The weekends is definitely not always, but oftentimes, most of the time, those are work days. So maybe we take like Monday and Tuesday kind of off, or Tuesday and Wednesday, or Wednesday and Thursday, or something like that. But 2 hours per work day, whatever that is for you, is do that activity that brought in most of your last 10 deals, like whatever that is. And don't wait until you feel like it. Don't wait until you have time. You block that time in. And for me, that's been a big deal. The second thing I would do is, like in the mortgage world, Brian, you're a top producer. You're well known in our community. And so for me, if I was like just getting started in the mortgages, man, I'd find out who Brian is. The dude's knocking out of the park. He's serving a lot of families. He's doing something very successfully. Find out what he's doing and be his new best friend, right? Get a mentor. And so, and I know that's part of your podcast series here, Brian, is being a podcast mentor and then getting to know people, interviewing some of the top agents here in the area. Man, it's hard to go wrong by finding somebody that's successful. Like if I was wanting to open up an electric car company, guess who would be my new best friend?
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. I'd find a connection. And Brian, you know everybody. I'd say, hey, Brian, my man, I need you to hook me up, man.
Yeah.
And I would do whatever it took to be Elon's new best friend. And really, it's just that simple. And one thing I have found, Brian, is that these successful people, like many of our listeners that are listening to this day, like yourself, like myself, those people that are doing well, we're proud of our accomplishments, right? And when somebody says, hey, man, I think you're doing a really great job. Can you show me a little bit? Like, we're kind of happy to do that. Now, I find the low producers, they're kind of like, well, I can't show you because then if I show you, then somehow I have less, not more, which is totally not true. But you'll find that these high performers like yourself, I mean, hell, you're doing it here on a podcast. And so high performers will share with you. So find out who's the high performers in your area on this podcast network that you're listening to, plus in your local area, who's the top producers, befriend them. Tell them you're a student of success and you'd love to hear their story.
Yeah, you think of like what you just said, the high producers don't have a scarcity mentality. They have an abundance mentality, and they're willing to share if you reach out. They're really waiting for somebody to reach out to them and say, please, as long as you're willing to do the work. They don't want you just to call and say, talk to me, right? They don't have time to just have a conversation with you. But if you show them you're willing to do the work, some of the mentors that I've had in my life have been unbelievable, and they've always been top performers, people that are at the top of their game and people who are busy. But they know when they talk to me, hey, I'm going to do the work. I'm going to do exactly what you said. I'm going to sit, I'm going to listen, I'm going to learn. And then I can be successful. So I absolutely 100%, the scarcity, like, nobody, there's nothing around for me to be able to do is a really hard thing for, I think, some people to get out of, and it can destroy a business in a huge way.
No question. I got a buddy of mine. He's got this saying, business people that have scarcity thinking have a scary business. Ooh. So scarcity has a scary business, and that's true. And I think another big deal, and we talk about this sometimes when you and I are sharing ideas back and forth, Brian, is grab one thing at a time and get that finished before you start on the next one. Like, let's say you're deciding, hey, you know what? I'm going to call my past database, which I think we can all agree that if we look, when I go around the country doing little talks to on from somebody's kind enough to invite me to come talk to their group, and let's say, I don't know, there's a couple hundred people in there, 200-300 people, something like that, and I'll always ask a question: how many of you, without a shadow of a doubt, that if you called your past database, or that ever elusive sphere of influence, right, that if we called our past database from A to Z, how many of you know that you'd get another listing, you'd get another buyer? How many know if you called it, stand up? Everybody stands up.
Everybody stands up. Yes.
100% of the room. But then I asked part two of the question. All right, so everybody here, stay standing. Everybody here agrees that, yes, I would close a deal. We all know that. How many of you have actually called your past database from A to Z in the last 6 months? And usually all but about 3 people will sit down. 3-4 people. And we already know those 3 or 4 people are going to be the top producers. And so I think part of what happens is, number one, we don't have it in our calendar to do that activity. So we don't have the discipline, right? We're waiting for the motivation, right? And let me know how that works for you, right? It's not.
It's not going to jump on you, right?
Or B, well, I started doing that. I'm getting around to, I'm putting together my list, and I'm also getting a list of expireds, and I'm getting a list of FSBOs, and I'm getting that service that notifies the neighbors of my new listings, and I'm getting together a list of the hospital that's doing an employee something that maybe I can be the realtor of choice for that. And they're working on these like 8 different things, and they end up with what we call a bunch of half-built bridges, where I've almost got that done, but oh wait, this YouTube is a big thing. I think I'll do some videos, and they start working on that, and they don't get it quite done, and they go, hey, wait, I know Brian's got this great, I hope I'm not spilling the beans here and you can edit it out if I am. Brian's going to be doing this, going to be teaching us how to do podcasts, which is an awesome thing. And they go, well, I'll get started with that. And they get all these things half done, but nothing's completed yet. And it's not until we complete a bridge that we can get money from one side of it and bring it over to where we are. And so one thing that we have to do is grab one, whichever one that is. And Brian, frankly, if I was in the area, I'd meet with you and I'd say, hey, Brian, here's the 5 or 6 or 3 or 2 or 7 different things I'm thinking about. Brian, which one do you recommend that I start first? Right? Find somebody successful. Yeah. And because I find bouncing off of somebody else is a good idea. If I just ask myself, my emotions into it, and frankly, I might be looking more of a shiny whistle rather than a real something, you know. And so I want somebody that's going to kind of, and I hope it's okay to say this, kind of have a BS meter, you know, that kind of, you know, that somebody that I know I trust. I know they respect me and they'll be honest with me and not just be a yes person. And I'll say, hey, Brian, I'm working on these 7 different things. I'm getting ready to. Which would you do first?
Gotcha.
And then I would grab that thing and I would not even look at number 2 until I had number 1 in process. I'm doing it. I've got a couple referrals from it. I've got that plate spinning. And then I say, hey, Brian, what's the second one? What's the second thing that I should work on here? And so not have a whole bunch of half-built bridges. So number 1, rely on discipline, not motivation. Number 2, find out what brought in my last 10 loans. And whatever that is, do more of that and do it, prospect 2 hours a day. Number 3, who's my top producers in my area? Be their new best friend. And I guess number 4, heck, call our past database, right? We all know it works.
Absolutely.
It only works every time. So
every single time. What is amazing is, and I think about this, and I've been, you know, I think what freezes people a lot, Carla, is that they start to do this thing called overthinking. They have these list of 7 things. And like you said, do one of them. I've been working on a book and I try to do it like when I can't sleep. It's 3:00 in the morning because I don't want to take away my time from working. And it comes from the premise of, you know, somebody even yesterday told me I've tried everything and it isn't working. And they use that word, like you said, this everything, always, never, right? I've tried everything. And I said, every possibility I've tried and it's just not. And I said, well, you really haven't tried every possibility. Because if you try, because you don't go to your wife and say, you know, I want you to love me more and say that possibility doesn't work, right? You're only trying the things that people believe that are negative. And then they run this reel in their mind of all the things that don't work. And it's only the negative things that have popped up in their life. It's not all the positive things that they've tried. It's all the negative things. So if they tried calling their past database, right, they wouldn't overthink it because it works. They're trying this. You know, I tried to use the AI bot and it sent a really terrible email because I didn't check it, right? That's the scenario that continues to run over and over in their mind. And then they freeze because they say, well, I can't do that. Or they come up now with excuses, you know, and somebody told me once, excuses, no matter how valid, weaken character. Excuses, no matter how valid, weaken character. And I realized that that's what freezes. And I love your idea because you're just saying, hey, try the one thing that you know is going to work and do that and do a lot of that. Then you're not running these endless scenarios of possibilities over and over in your mind, overthinking stuff. And that's just, you know, how I saw what you were saying just popped out.
And you know, something else I think is important, Brian. I know you've heard this story, but boy, it's such a great story. I think the other thing is, and Steve Jobs said it so well. You got to be willing to crash and burn, right? You have to be willing. I've learned my best stuff on my, and I know it's kind of a cliche, but I hate using the word failures. It's just tests that didn't work out, right? Tests that didn't work out. So I'm a bit of a NASCAR fan. So I did my master's degree up at the University of South Carolina. And one of my buddies, just to let off a little steam, said, hey, let's go to a NASCAR. I've never been to one. I've kind of heard of it, you know, but no big deal. Took me to one of the races. Man, I'm hooked, right? I was hooked. That's been, 30 some years ago, and I've been hooked ever since. So anyway, in NASCAR, there's this famous engine builder. His name is Jack Roush. And Jack Roush is the best engine builder, right? He's the winning team. All the winning teams uses his engines, right? All a good portion of the winning teams use his engine. And I was watching him on an interview, and in fact, he has race teams that he races. People buy his engines to race against him on race day. Crazy. That's like
wow.
that's like borrowing somebody's quarterback to play against them on game day, right? It's just crazy. But he's that good. So I'm listening to a podcast. They say, Jack, what makes you so special? And he said, well, I tell you what it is. He said at Roush Industries, what we do is we build an engine and we put it up on the engine block and we start the engine and we let it warm up, and then we put a brick on the gas pedal and we go have a cup of coffee, and we come back when it blows up. And then we tear that engine apart and we look to see what broke. And let's say, I don't know anything about engines, but let's say it was a piston ring, whatever that is. And he said, I'll build a bigger, better, faster, stronger piston ring. We put the engine back together. We fire it up, put a brick on the gas pedal. We go have lunch. We come back when the engine blows up. This time it was a crankshaft, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, we then build a bigger, better, faster, stronger crankshaft. Here's the punchline. He said, everybody else is afraid of breaking the engine. But here at Ralph Industries, we embrace it. We encourage it because I'll build a bigger, better, faster, stronger engine. And I heard that and I went, that is the most brilliant business advice I think I've ever heard. That, hey, I think I'm going to have Bob or Susan help me with answering the phone, or help me by calling some expired listings, or field some of the calls while I'm out on my listing appointments, or help me at the open house, and or call my past database. People hate referring out for somebody else to do something that they're already not doing, right? And they go, well, what if they make a mistake? And what if they do this? And what if they do that? And I think we have to be willing to just go out there and break the engine. Or maybe we're wanting to do a first-time home buyer seminar or whatever. Well, what if it doesn't this? And what if nobody shows up? And what if I look stupid? And what if I this? And what if I that? I'm thinking about doing a podcast. Well, what if this? And what if nobody comes? And what if nobody listens? And what if I screw up? And what if I sound this? Like, break the engine. Go out there and break the engine.
I love that, because people want to control the what ifs. And it freezes them because they say, I want to be able to control what if this happens. And you don't need to control that. What if it happens? It happens and we move on, right? But we spend so much time thinking, like you just said, the what ifs. That's that overthinking, right? The what ifs. And then we try to control all those in our mind. And then we say, well, it's not going to work. Because
we're so afraid of failure. And it's a funny thing, Brian. My suspicion is the same as for you, as it certainly is for me, is that I have my biggest growth moments in my worst of times. Like I remember the crash of 08, 07, 08, 09. Man, down here in the sand pile, here I'm in Tampa Bay, Florida. We call it the sand pile. So down here in the sand pile, boy, it was devastating. Like, it was just devastating. Houses that I personally bought, I'm an investor also. Houses that I bought for 300,000 were literally selling for 130. I mean, it was just devastating, right? Absolutely devastating. But you know what? It made me better. It did. It made me better. I put systems in place. I put marketing pieces in place. I survived it. You survived it. We're better because of it. Same thing that's happening right now. Is it challenging right now? You bet it is. But we're gonna, if the ore gets a little thin on gold, we just have to put more ore on the belt. And by shoveling that ore and putting it on the belt, we're growing stronger muscles. And even though, don't get me wrong, I love to avoid headaches, right? I love coasting downhill with a tailwind, right? I love that. It just doesn't work that way for long. Because after so much coasting, we have to start pedaling to get back on top of the hill again. And so we're avoiding making mistakes, but that's when we learn. It's not until somebody puts weight on the barbells that we grow our muscles. So while, trust me, I don't love it when we go through these trying times like we are now, but I know this is when winners are made. This is when people like you, Brian, this is when you rise to the occasion. So embrace it.
So one of the stories, for me, when I first got involved in sales, that somebody had shared, one of my mentors shared with me, he said, drop the pot. I'm like, what do you mean drop the pot? And he said, you're making calls. The phone is super heavy. You got to make the calls. You're scared to make the calls. You're nervous to make the calls. And he says, and if you start messing up, he said, put a pot on your countertop, like a pots and pans on your countertop. And if you really just get way off into a tangent or whatever, or it's just going bad, knock the pot off the counter, let it hit there and go, oh, I got to go. There's an emergency, got to go. And there were a few times that I dropped the pot just because I got to that point. But the lesson it taught me to be really good on the phone, to be able to talk to people. But no, that was the worst case scenario, is that I was going to drop a pot on the floor so that I could have an excuse to get off the phone real quick. And you just think about that's how this stuff works. It really does.
I love that. That's I remember I remember doing a call one time and it was going so badly. And I don't know, I was 3 minutes into it, something like that. And I stopped and I said, Hey buddy, I let me just stop right here. This is going, you're awesome. I'm doing so badly on this call. I'm almost embarrassed. Let me just hang up and maybe we'll start again tomorrow. Is that okay? So, but yeah, it's be willing to crash and burn, right? Because if you're not willing to crash and burn, you're not going to get very far. Hey, and I'll tell you, I know we're not too far from the top of the hour here, Brian. One thing I wanted to mention, I know you were telling me, and I've been watching you do it. You do this thing called the Real-Time Referral Program.
Yes, sir.
Where, man, this is a hard thing to beat. So for those of you listening, listen, he's such a humble guy. Let me tell you what he's doing. When you send a lead over to Brian, now, of course, you're going to be, you as our listener here, as our realtor agents, of course, you're going to follow up on them. But also, like when you send a referral over to Brian, let's say he pre-approves that person, that he picks a day of the week that he's calling all of his pre-approvals. Like they've been pre-approved and they're out looking. But how many times have we pre-approved somebody and then we don't connect up with them and they go out looking for houses and we're not, and the loan officer's not calling, and maybe you as a real estate agent, you've gotten busy at the next open house, you got some more leads, you don't call them. And come to find out, they end up listing a house or buying a house or doing both, and neither you or the loan officer got it because you didn't follow up. What Brian does is he picks one day of the week where he's calling his pre-approved and lookings. But get this, the purpose of that call is twofold. Number one is keep them in the loop, make sure that they're stay excited about buying the house. He gives them encouragement. But then the other thing is at the end of each call, it's kind of Brian's new way of saying goodbye. Instead of just saying goodbye, he says, hey, one more thing before you go. Can I count on you to give me a call anytime a friend, family, coworker is looking to buy or sell a home? And then question mark. And everybody, of course, says, sure, they do. Well, come to find out, they actually do. And when they do, Brian then calls the agent that referred that person to him in the first place with that listing or that buyer. I know, Brian, I know you do the same thing when you have a deal in process, that you're calling the borrower and the co-borrower on every once a week, giving them, of course, the listing agent and the buying agent, but also the borrower and the co-borrower every week, giving them a status update. Hey, here's where we are. We're still on track for an on-time flawless closing. Before I let you go, can I count on you to give me a call anytime one of your friends, family, coworkers are looking to buy or sell a home? Well, come to find out, some of them do. You refer those back to your agents. Right. Same thing on your past database. We talk about the past database. Brian, you're one of those few people, just being transparent, that actually does it. And when you call them, you're catching up. Just want to say thank you. If you ever have any questions, give me a call. Oh, one more thing before I go. Can I count on you? Anytime a friends, family, coworkers looking to buy or sell a home, come to find out, some of them do. And when they do, you then call the agent that referred to that person. So not only is a real estate agent following the past database and calling the past database and sending out mailers and emails, so are you on their behalf and keeping track of them in your system so you know which real estate agent referred you that borrower. So it's kind of like a family tree of deals, that one limb grows another limb, grows another limb. It's almost like an Amway type thing. One friend tells two, and they each tell a friend, and they each tell a friend. It's that same kind of thing, but in the real estate world, and it's a real thing. So very powerful thing. So I would also recommend, make sure that you're, again, I'm just doing a shameless plug for you here, Brian. Make sure that you're referring all of your leads over to Brian, because he put, even if that person doesn't buy, or even if that person doesn't sell, their friends, family, coworkers do, and that we get more deals. We can get more deals from that. So very clever thing that you put together, Brian. I know a lot of people, have seen what you're doing there, and very, very, very attractive. So, and I don't mean to do a 15-minute monologue there, but it's a really cool, it's very powerful.
Mm-hmm. Well, Colin, there's also, I love doing that too, because just what comes out of that is so special to be able to call, a realtor, real estate agent and say, look, one of the people you referred me just gave me a potential person that I could give you. And it just works so well that now we have this synergy together. We have this community together. Now, I know as part of, the marketing strategy you do with loan officers, you've also built in something for real estate agents. We're talking to real estate agents and, something that they can plug into that will give them maybe a heads up or just something more that they can do. Can you kind of talk about that a little bit, about how you work with, or your organization, or the organization that I love being part of, really works with real estate agents?
Yeah. So, basically, we just kind of, it's really a play off of your real-time referral program, really. And that we pick 2 hours of each day, Monday through Thursday. And like on Monday, we spend 2 hours of prospecting. And again, for our real estate friends, maybe that would be 2 hours of calling expired listings. Maybe that'd be 2 hours of calling FSBOs. Maybe that'd be 2 hours of neighbors' new listings. Maybe that'd 2 hours of your internet work, but 2 hours of outbound prospecting with zero interruptions. I mean, I think that's really, really important. Zero interruptions. What does that mean? It means we turn the basic 4 off. We no incoming phone calls, right? We don't want to have any incoming phone calls. We don't want any of our email. Turn that darn thing off. That instant notifier, just for that 2 hours of outbound prospecting, turn it off. Our people. So the disruptors are incoming calls, incoming emails, people. So maybe I'm working out of my home office and my wife or my husband or my kids or whatever, comes in. Maybe I'm in my office and one of my realtor buddies, my fellow real estate agents, comes up. Hey, Carl, how about those Bears? How about those Lions? Right. Last year, how about those Bucks? Not so much this year. Right. So I have to tell my buddy, hey, I'm doing my outbound prospecting here. I love you. I can't wait to talk to you after I finish my 2 hours of prospecting. Of course, the fourth one is my sick brain telling me, well, let me take a break and let me go check my email real quick. No. 2 hours of unbroken outbound prospecting. So on Mondays, we target prospects like the list I just gave. And then on Tuesdays, we do, frankly, the same thing that you're doing, Brian. And we're calling on the deals that we actively have going. We have a buyer, we have a co-buyer, or we have a seller, and we have a co-seller. We have a title company, right? We have an insurance agent in there, right? We have a loan officer in there, and that we call them and give them an update on Tuesdays. And then we do oh, by the way, can I count on you? Anytime have a friend, family, coworkers looking to buy or sell, can I count on you? Give me a call. And it's just simply those. Look, these are calls that we're making anyway. Like updating our sellers and updating our buyers. Hell, these people are mad if we don't call them, right? It's not like, well, I don't want to bug them. No, they want to know how's it going.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you just simply say a new way to say goodbye. Same thing on Wednesdays. Wednesday is our past database day. Boy, there are a few things that you'll do that'll be more powerful than your past database. I mean, these, and it goes totally okay. You got, hey, Carl, Brian, I hear you. I know, but I haven't called them in 5 years. I'd be embarrassed. Look, they don't know that you're supposed to call them all the time, right? They don't know that. So just call them. They'll be glad to hear from you. Well, what am I going to say? I found a good old thank you is hard to go wrong.
Yeah,
it's hard to go wrong. Yeah. And so for me, it'd be, hey, Brian, this is Carl, ABC Realty. I helped you with you sell your house. I helped you buy your house, like whatever the case may be. Hey, just calling in to check in with you to see, to say thank you. Thank you so much for letting me help you in the past. Purpose of my call is to say thank you. That's it. Just thank them. Nobody will, the nerve of you calling me up and thanking me, right? Like, and by the way, they're not going to sit there, it's been 5 years, Brian. You didn't call, you didn't write, and it hurts, right? They're not going to do that.
Oh, they don't.
They don't know. So I'd call my task pass database, and I would again make sure that you put in Brian's 3x2, friends, family, coworkers looking to buy or sell a house. That's Brian's 3x2, and throwing that as the goodbye on each call. And then of course on Thursday we do our pre-approved and looking calls, that those prospects that we're out showing houses this weekend, making sure that we're checking in. If they're not going out looking for us this weekend, making sure they're not going to open houses without representation, just kind of keeping them in line. If they're getting a little discouraged, maybe we could encourage them, do a little thing that we call future casting, where we get them to imagine being in that new home, the benefits of it, selling that big home and moving to a smaller one, or selling that smaller home and moving to one with a home office or with a nursery for the new baby, or whatever that is, right? And just reminding them about why they're buying or why they're selling, and get them reinterested again. And just by simply doing that outbound prospecting 2 hours a day, it's a game changer. I mean, it's what the winners do. It's what 100% of the winners do. 100%. It only always works.
Almost always works. Always works. I love that. And so thank you for sharing that, because and if you're interested to even get more information on that or how it works, or having me help you do it, just please give me a call, because I will make sure you get hooked up with all the materials that will make you successful and make it always work, which is something.
Well, I'm sitting here. I know most of the people are listening to this as a podcast, but if there's a visual component, Brian actually has this little cheat sheet of what you do. You as a real estate agent do each day of the week is a little cheat sheet. And so I appreciate this, Brian. And I guess they just reach out to you and get it like you gave it to me.
Yep, absolutely.
Perfect.
So the last thing I'd like to do, Carl, because I know we're running short on time, and this is kind of the added bonus that I would love to share. And if you have 5 minutes to do it, is just kind of talk about the successful real estate agent. This is important, and this is the foundation. And what we're talking about, you do this all the time. But we have this thing called AI that is jumping into our world, right? And so if you could just maybe spend 5 minutes in Futurecast a little bit about how the people who jump on AI right now, just not digging into it. You need to find somebody who's going to help you, right? Because you need to be doing the things that are making you money. But just kind of give a glimpse into the future of how AI is going to make even some of the people who are successful more successful.
I think what AI is doing, AI is one of those things where basically we're cavemen and cavewomen, and somebody just handed us an iPhone, and we're sitting there looking at this thing going, I have no idea what this thing is. I have no idea what it does, but gee, look at the cool pictures, right? And I think that's kind of where AI is for us, Brian. Like, I don't think we can envision what it's going to do for us. I don't think any more than the Wright brothers, when they're flying that little glider off of Kitty Hawk, I don't think they could have even pictured a 747 hauling, I don't know how many, 300-400 people from New York to London, that used to take 6 months, right? I don't think they could envision how life was going to change. Yeah. Where going from Tampa Bay to Los Angeles, I can do that in 5 hours, and it used to take 5 months. And oh, by the way, half the people would die on the way, like literally, right? Yeah. And so I don't think we can have any clue onto what we're looking for. I tell you what I'm seeing though. So what I'm seeing people doing now is some of the AI tools are doing what I would do if I could count on me. You follow what I'm saying? Okay,
absolutely. And I can count on me. I love that.
Yeah, if I could count on me, this is what I would do. And we're teaching AI to do that. So like we've got this chat feature now on one of my websites. And so we drive traffic to this website and people are asking questions. And I'm using the word we, I'm using air quotes as we are sitting there having a conversation with this person in real time. And it's an AI instrument doing it. And where it's getting its knowledge and information from is we pointed my websites, all of my videos that I've done over the last, 15, 20 years. I do a podcast, all my podcasts, like it points to all my content sites, my mortgage site, like all this things. And so it remembers the video, or it remembers a podcast that I did 15 years ago that I don't remember, right? So it has all that content. So when somebody goes there and asks a question of it, real time, it's absorbed all that information and it's answering them back. Now, when it first started, it would say, "Hey, Carl, I'm going to answer back this way. Are you okay with that?" And I would go, I'm a little bit more casual. It's just my style. I'm a little bit more casual than that. Sometimes I say brother, right? Or sister. And I don't mean it's just the way I talk, right? I'm just a very casual person. Some are put off by that, some not. Maybe somebody's more formal. They go, "Hey, no, I'd say it a little bit more formal than that," right? Doesn't matter. Like however you are, like whatever you are is perfect. And so it says, "Hey, Carl, I'm getting ready to answer this way. Is that what you would say?" "No, I'd answer it a little bit this way." And then next time it says, "Hey, I'm going to answer it like this. Are you good with that?"
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly how I'd say it. Yes, send that. And so for the first probably 30 days, I was looking at the answers going, wait, tweak it just a little bit, change it just a little bit of this. Hey, ask this question before you give the answer. And now this thing, dude, I get on that thing and start having a conversation with myself sometimes. It's unbelievable the amount of good help, the right answers, the lead generation that thing provides me. Because while picture this as a real estate agent, while you're at the listing presentation, the clone of you is having conversations with people that have opted in, or maybe they texted in on a sign writer. Maybe they came in through your Zillow leads or wherever that thing is that you're doing. And it's having conversations, asking about their next listing or their next move. And it's a very casual conversation, and it's engaging. It's a charming conversation because it's using your voice, your content, and you're charming, right? And you're knowledgeable. So AI, they just tested it about 2 months ago, has an IQ of 160. So ChatGPT has an IQ of 160. Now, Brian, I know you know this, but some people might not. Einstein's IQ, just by absolute chance, was exactly 160, right? And so AI now has Einstein's IQ. Keep in mind, Einstein was an IQ of 160 at physics, yes, at time, at physical sciences. He didn't have an IQ of 160 on writing poetry. You follow what I'm saying?
No.
He didn't have a 160 on being a good real estate agent, being a successful real estate agent. This ChatGPT thing, it has an IQ of 160, like in everything, about penguins, everything, anything and everything. It's absolutely amazing. So, yeah, I think right now we're using it to have conversations on our behalf, intelligent ones, lead generating ones. It's setting appointments for us. I think it'll be doing the same thing for a real estate agent, setting listing appointments for you, contacting maybe with expired listings and automatically setting appointments for you. I think that's the next thing that's really on the, that I'm not going to say it's on the rise. It's happening now. By the way, it will also answer phone calls that same way. And so like right now, if you call Tesla or Apple, if you call their helpline and you think you're talking to somebody, you're not. You're talking to an AI tool. I'm telling you, Brian, it sounds like you're talking to Debbie over there. I mean, it's not, we watch these science fiction movies and they kind of digitize them a little bit just so in the movie, you know, who's AI, who's the robot and who's not. The only difference is in real life, it doesn't sound digitized. There's not that hesitation. It's an instant two-way conversation. And by the way, it's in your voice. We've got one now. We've been playing with this, Brian. We uploaded some of my videos into this AI tool. And so now if I want to send an audio message, I just type it into my computer, into this AI tool, and it reads it just like how I talk. My hesitations, my little stutters, my occasional searching for words. I mean, dude, it's freaky. I was listening to one about a week ago. I swear I wasn't positive that it wasn't me. Like I thought, wait a minute, did I do that 6 months ago and just forgot? It's uncanny. Wow. So So it's really some exciting stuff. But I'm a still firm believer, Brian, that the basics, these theme days, I don't think that's going to change. I think what's going to happen is that AI is going to free us up from the mundane over and over things to free us up so we can do more of what we do more often with less distraction. So basically kind of having clones of Brian, not that there could ever be another Brian, but clones of Brian. And that's what I see. So anyway, that was a very long answer to your short question, but
kind of like that Multiplicity movie where Michael Keaton is.
Yes,
those guys.
Except the only thing is, each clone gets smarter.
Oh my gosh! Oh wait, which is so cool that. And what I think I'm excited about it because I think it's going to be able to make me more money. Because if I can not spend the time I'm doing from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock, all these different things that I have to do that aren't relationships, aren't working with people, aren't making the phone calls. I can do that if the AI or whatever can set the appointment. I'm terrible opening up the computer and finding my calendar and finding the right date and then typing their name in there. And
what's cool about this thing? What's cool about this thing is it operates under discipline, not motivation. So it doesn't have the human frailty of, well, I don't want to meet here because, that's when I watch reruns of Oprah or whatever that thing is, right? Yeah, I'm a big Oprah fan. So it takes away the human emotion of wanting to put something off. And you show up, dude, you got a listing appointment on your calendar. You're not going to call them up and cancel, right? Yeah. You're going to go. And so, it's almost like having, in a very cool way, I was going to say a drill sergeant, but it's not a drill sergeant, but like this really cool assistant that's doing a lot of the heavy lifting for you and setting up your calendar for you. And just kind of like you know how it is, man, like sometimes I watch these celebrity VIPs and they have, I don't know what you call them, like a guide that will guide them. Oh, here's the stage and here's the curtain and stand back here. And here's your water. You got this. The crowd's going to love you. Okay, it's your turn. Go on stage now. That's kind of what AIC is. AI has been. It's almost like having, like we're a boxer and they're our ring person, our ring lady, our ring man. That's our corner man. That's what I mean. Like our corner man or our corner lady that's encouraging us and giving us a glass of water and setting us up for success. That's what I see it as. It's just like a freaking incredible assistant.
Oh, that's good. I was watching Star Trek Next Generation late last night, and I'm like, Data is AI, even though Data's a human, but you think of him playing that because he gets smarter. He gives you the answer.
That's right.
You really need later on because he's, what is it, an android or whatever it is.
Great example.
Oh my gosh.
Great example.
So Carl, I want to thank you. I know we're on time and you have just been simply amazing. And then hopefully we can do this again. Hey, for the AI stuff, stick with us, stick with me, stick with Carl. I'm telling you, if you're going to make some money here in the future, we're going to be on top of all the AI stuff. And so I believe you absolutely helped the folks that are here. And just how much I appreciate you and what you do for me on a monthly basis, all the time. And just to be able to have you on here, it's not every day that you get somebody who is at the top of their game, who's one of the best that they do what they do, that is willing to come and talk. And so I guess the beauty of podcasts, right, is it goes on and on and on. It's going to be here. It's going to be something you can listen to over and over again. You didn't just see this at a seminar where you walked into something and now you try to remember everything that went in.
And dude, the other great episodes that's in here, it's just incredible. A great lineup. Great lineup you got in here, Brian. A lot of high quality people.
Thank you so much. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you for being here for another episode of the Mile High Real Estate Spotlight podcast. I can't wait for the next.
Wait.
Okay.
Does that mean I'm an official member of the Mile High Club now that I've been here?
Well, yes, yes. I'll just say yes. That's all I'll say.
It's an honor. It's an honor.
I love it.
Bucket list number 34. Check. Okay.
Yes. Yes. And so remember, you can do this. You deserve it. And let us help you. We're out here to help you do whatever you need to do. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll talk to you on the next one.
All right, gang, that's it. That was a podcast I did with Brian Arnold. Brian, thanks so much for letting me share it with my loan officer friends here on the Loan Officer Freedom Podcast. Hey, thanks so much for being part of our group, and it's an honor to be part of your day. I appreciate you letting me be with you. Will you ride back from work, or maybe you're walking your dog around the neighborhood, or you're at the gym on the treadmill. It's just an honor to be part of your day. And when you're ready to map out your plan for going forward and how do you ramp your business back up, I'd love to show you the plan that we map out with some of the top loan officers in the nation. Just go to freedomclubdemo.com, freedomclubdemo.com. And that'll take you to a little questionnaire page. It'll ask you a couple questions, and then it'll take you to a calendar. And we'll book out 45 minutes with either myself or one of the team over here. We'll get on the horn with you, and we'll map out. We'll show you the plan that some of the top loan officers in the nation are doing. So anyway, that's it. freedomclubdemo.com. I'll see you on the inside, and I'll see you on the next episode of Loan Officer Freedom. Thanks again, everybody. Bye-bye.